The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights has a new comprehensive report out on U.S.-led airstrikes against ISIS in Syria, and the results are pretty interesting. So overall, they say 1,600 people have been killed over a 5-month period in these airstrikes. 62 of them are civilians, and they say the rest were either from ISIS or al-Nusra Front, which is the official al-qaeda branch in Syria. So the specific breakdown of jihadis killed is 1,465 ISIS fighters and 73 al-Nusra Front fighters. So you have to be objective and you have to be fair when you look at each situation individually, whether it's the drone strikes in Pakistan and Yemen and Somalia, or the war in Afghanistan, or the war in Iraq, or in this case, the airstrikes in Syria. And to be as fair and as objective as possible here, as far as airstrikes go, and I don't like them, okay, but these have been, in terms of the numbers, the best so far in terms of getting the right targets. Now, it goes without saying that 62 civilian casualties is unacceptable because one civilian casualty is unacceptable. It's just not okay. We need to realize that the way that we should act to civilians dying in the Middle East is the same way that we should react when one of our own civilians gets killed in any way, shape, or form around the world in any conflict. We would be outraged if even one American gets killed in that way, and we are outraged whenever that happens. But when it's foreigners, it's like this, whatever, who cares, they're not us mentality, and the media certainly doesn't cover it in a fair way. But with that being said, that 62 is flat out unacceptable, it is the highest percentage of actually hitting your targets with the airstrikes that we've seen. But there are two bigger points to make about this. Number one, I take it the Republicans are going to come out now and say, well, we apologize. It turns out Obama's not weak on foreign policy. In fact, he's strong on these issues, and he's strong on national security, and he's taking the fight to ISIS, and the numbers prove it. John McCain, Lindsey Graham, everybody who's been out there doing the war hawk dance for the past few months, all the Republicans, hey, even some Democrats too, and definitely the media who's, what are we going to do? Chris Matthews gave a speech the other day. What are we going to do? Just sit here and watch as people die? That's un-American. That's not right. Well, your premise was wrong. We're not doing nothing. We're in there, and we're doing airstrikes, and it turns out most of the time, specifically in Syria, we're getting the right targets. So, Chris Matthews, I want to see you come out there and praise this. Fox News, come out and praise it. All the Republican politicians who were scoffing at Obama, calling him weak, come out and praise this. I'll wait. But, of course, that's not going to happen because we live in a media climate and a political culture where the facts come second if they come at all. I mean, they were saying Obama is weak on this issue and he's letting ISIS get a pass when Obama had already done 2,400 airstrikes. If you can't look at that number and realize that that's not doing nothing, then I don't know what to tell you. But the second point that I want to make about this is, and as they point out in the article, quote, Washington and a small coalition of Arab countries began strikes against ISIS in Syria last year. So they're letting you know it really wasn't just the U.S. It was the U.S. and our international coalition and even some Arab countries that were doing this. And France, of course, has been in and out doing certain airstrikes at different jihadists all over the place, including in Mali, for example, in northern Africa. So we're really not doing this alone at this point. Now, they're playing a much smaller role, unfortunately, but we're not doing it alone. So what I take away from that line right there is I know what the next move is. I know what the next step is. I want to make it so that all of those countries totally take over this fight now. I think that should be the U.S. goal, for us to get out of the situation, because again, as everybody who listens to this show knows, I think the only time you should use U.S. military power is to defend the nation from imminent attack. So it's clear if you listen to Homeland Security experts that ISIS does not pose an imminent threat to the United States right now. So what should you do? Well, abide by the standard. Pull out. And say, and you're not just pulling out and then leaving the situation, hey, ISIS, have at it, do whatever the fuck you want. No, we saw the other day, Egypt is now bombing ISIS. Fantastic. Go right ahead. We want you to keep doing that. I'd love it if you keep doing that. Jordan, same thing. Hey, Jordan, go ahead. Go after them. Iran, they were fighting them as well. The Kurds, the Shiites and the Kurds, by all means. I'm knocking my microphone. I'm getting too excited. By all means, go ahead, attack them. I want all of you to attack them. All the different Shiites in the region, all the moderate Sunnis, the Kurds, the different governments themselves. The Syrians are already fighting them. They've been fighting them for a very long time. So go ahead, you guys take the fight over. And if, hey, other Western governments want to get involved, if France wants to continue to be involved, if Australia wants to get involved, by all means, everybody have at it. I'm not somebody who's arguing that since the U.S. should be non-interventionist in the region, therefore, let ISIS get away with whatever the fuck they want to do and nobody should fight back against them. Of course not. What I'm saying is, let's get the U.S. out of the situation because, like I said, ISIS does not threaten the U.S. homeland right now. And then allow everybody in the region and everybody that has a beef, go ahead, have at it. You're going to beat them. It's just a matter of time. When you have every single group in the region, including the Sunni Baathists, by the way, who previously were helping ISIS, when even they're turning on ISIS, it's a matter of time until they're destroyed because there's only about 20,000 to 30,000 of them.